The 2023 Formula One silly season has been completely terrible so far, as there's been very little rumors and honestly nothing at all has happened. Today guys, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my 2024 Formula One driver predictions. My name is Chris, welcome back to CFRacing and enjoy the video. Hey everybody, what's going on? Chris here, otherwise known as CFRacing, and today everybody, like I said in the intro for today's video, I'm going to be doing my 2024 Formula One driver predictions. Just want to say before this video starts, thank you guys for the support recently. Y'all have been insane, and you guys have just been absolutely joining the Discord like crazy, and you guys can join Discord to enter a F1 manager giveaway. Link to the Discord will be in the description down below. All you gotta do is hit the big check mark to join the Discord. It's very easy. I mean, you'll be entered, and giveaway winner will be announced at the end of August. Also, if you guys want Formula Neon merch like this little guy right here and this right over here, go check out Formula Neon. Link is in the description. You guys get a discount if you use my code, I believe, and the link. So go check it out. Formula Neon is absolutely epic and one of the best sponsors I've ever worked with. So let's start off with the driver pairings that I don't think are going to be changing next year, and honestly there's quite a few of them. So the first one I'm going to say isn't changing is the Ferrari driver lineup, and that's going to be Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, or Charles Leclerc, however you guys want to pronounce it. But the Ferrari driver lineup has been actually pretty solid this year, and honestly one of the two best driver lineups on the grid. If you maybe take out Mercedes or something like that, they've been really good. Even McLaren's been pretty solid as well. But Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz have been a great driver pairing, and they're very, very even with each other so far this year. Leclerc's got that big top echelon pace, and then we got Carlos Sainz like little bit behind him, but he's picking up the rear and he's getting points, and he's been very consistent when he really needs to be. Both drivers are separated by 7 points, and by the end of the season, I can really see Charles be a little bit higher than Carlos, as he did have a really big, really rough start to the season. But by the end, I think Charles would be a little bit farther ahead. By the end of the season, I do think Charles will be a little bit higher than 7 points ahead of Carlos Sainz at the end of the year. But either way, both have been pretty solid this year. Charles, like I said before, has the top echelon points. Carlos Sainz has been very consistent, and yeah, I think Ferrari's driver lineup is going to be steady for at least next season. The next driver lineup that I think is going to stay very similar is going to be the Mercedes driver lineup with Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Lewis Hamilton has not signed his contract yet, but by the end of the year, I mean, it's going to happen. He always says, oh, I might go to Ferrari or something stupid like that, and then he ends up signing his contract with Mercedes, and everybody's like, oh, wow, who would have thought, right? But yeah, I mean, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, arguably been the best driver lineup in the past 2 seasons of Formula One, so that's a great driver lineup for Mercedes. And yeah, I mean, there's no reason to change. Lewis Hamilton is destroying George Russell this year, but hey, George Russell did beat Lewis last year, so I mean, George Russell's the future for that team. Hamilton's just the guy who they want to get an 8th title, but yeah, there's no shot Mercedes are changing their driver lineup. The next driver lineup that I do not think will change at all is going to be the McLaren driver lineup of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. Both drivers have been really good this year. Lando Norris has been one of the best drivers in the midfield, and Oscar Piastri as a rookie has really blown me out of the water. I did not think he'd perform this well in that car, and yeah, they've been very good. Lando Norris, fantastic. Oscar Piastri, fantastic. There's literally no reason right now for McLaren to really change their driver lineup unless Lando Norris leaves to go to Mercedes if Lewis Hamilton retires, but I just don't see that happening. Oscar Piastri has proved that McLaren were right to drop Daniel Ricciardo for him, so yeah, I mean, great job McLaren. You guys have a great driver lineup, and arguably the best on the grid right now. Next up, we have Aston Martin, and I don't think they're going to change. There's no shot Fernando Alonso retires after finally, in the first time in like his whole life, making a good career decision, maybe besides going from Renault to Ferrari. That was a pretty good decision for him because he did win quite a few more races and was in a title fight. But Alonso and Lance Stroll, I mean, Lance Stroll's not leaving. Let's be honest. He does deserve a Formula One seat, but he doesn't deserve a car as good as that Aston Martin. If he was in a Williams, people would not really care about how bad he's doing. But he's in an Aston Martin, which is arguably the second fastest car on the grid right now, and we can see that from Fernando Alonso taking so many different P2s and podiums, and Lance Stroll's highest finish, I believe, is 4th, even though he did crash in Australia where he finished 4th. So Aston Martin has a good driver lineup. Aston Martin has a great driver of Fernando Alonso and the team's boss's son, Lance Stroll, who's not bad in his own right when he's on, but most of the time he's just kind of mid. And yeah, I mean, Aston Martin's not going to change, but I do think they should change out of Lance Stroll, but whatever. Next up, we have Logan Sargent and Alexander Albon. For some reason, I'm seeing a lot of people say that Logan Sargent's time in Formula 1 is coming to an end, but honestly, he's not been that bad this year considering how kind of bad that Williams is. Like, I get it, he has no points this year, but he's a rookie. And, I mean, I don't expect him to really score points in a Williams compared to Albon, who has like 5 points this year. What has he got? Albon's got 11 points this year in that Williams. Logan Sargent has 0. Yes, Albon has that team built around him, but Logan Sargent should be a little bit better. But then again, like I said many times, he also is a rookie. And Williams is not like AlphaTauri. They had Nicholas Latifi in that seat for 3 seasons, and he did literally nothing, even though he's the GOAT. I think at least Williams will have Logan Sargent in that seat for at least 2 seasons this year and next year heading into 2024. And then after that, they could look to replace him for maybe an F2 driver like Frederick Vesti if he wins Formula 2 this year, or maybe they'll go to a more experienced driver like Mick Schumacher, who also won F2 in the past. But right now, I think it's going to be Alexander Albon and Logan Sargent in 2024. Also staying the same, and this is the last team actually I've changed the same. Yeah, I know. That means there's going to be some changes here. Last team I have staying the same is going to be Alpine with Gasly and Ocon, and they're just both a very safe pair of hands for that Alpine team, which seems to be just changing things left, right, and center. Otmar's gone. Everybody's gone. Everything's just changing in that team, and it just does not look like there's many consistencies in that team. But one consistency that they could have is that driver lineup. Ocon and Gasly are both very good drivers in their own right. And yeah, they can definitely lead Alpine to success. It's just they need a car that can give them success. And right now, they just really don't have that. But when they do have a car, like we saw in Monaco, Ocon got a podium. And then like we saw in, what was it, Spa? Gasly got a podium in the sprint race. So the drivers have the potential. They just need the car to maximize that potential. And I think keeping it consistent will definitely help Alpine in the long run. So we're going to stick with Ocon and Gasly. So now this is where things get a little bit spicy, and I think Théo Pourchaire is going to win the Formula 2 title this season for his 3rd time being in Formula 2. He should be winning the title, and I think that'll promote him to Sauber, not Alfa Romeo, because Alfa Romeo is going to be partnering with Haas next year to be Alfa Romeo Haas, or whatever the heck they're going to name it. But yeah, Théo Pourchaire is a Sauber driver, and I think Bottas and Théo Pourchaire are going to be the driver lineup for 2024. Théo Pourchaire is such a good talented young driver to build a whole team around for when they do go to Audi. And I think by the time they go to Audi, Bottas will be gone, and they'll bring a driver like Carlos Sainz or maybe even Lando Norris in to partner Théo Pourchaire, who's the young gun in that team. So right now, I think it's going to be Bottas for sure. And hear me out, I think it's going to be Théo Pourchaire. I love Théo Pourchaire. I think he's so talented. He just needs to get more consistent, and yeah, maybe he'll do better with a whole year on the sidelines as a development driver, but honestly that sucks. Nobody really wants to do that, and I think Théo Pourchaire is going to be driving for Sauber in 2024. So with Théo Pourchaire going into Alfa Romeo, that means Zhou Guanyu is left without a seat, and I'm going to put him in Haas. Hear me out here. This is a little bit of a tough one. I said before earlier, Alfa Romeo is leaving Alfa Romeo or Sauber to go to Haas, and what was the first indication that we saw Zhou Guanyu become an Alfa Romeo driver back in 2022? It was in China. There was an Alfa Romeo car dealership that said their first ever Formula 1 driver, Zhou Guanyu, as like a sponsorship or an ad or something like that. I can see Alfa Romeo wanting Zhou Guanyu to just continue their marketing in China and keeping him as a driver for the Haas team, or Alfa Romeo Haas team. And I can see him partnering Nico Hülkenberg. I think Kevin Magnussen's going to get the boot this year. He showed promise last year, but then Nico Hülkenberg coming out of literally nowhere to be the ultimate driver. He's been so much better than Kevin Magnussen this year. And I think in 2024, we're going to have Zhou Guanyu and Nico Hülkenberg as Alfa Romeo drivers, or I guess Alfa Romeo Haas drivers. Who would have thought? I mean, that's kind of crazy. And plus, Haas will also get the Chinese backing of Zhou, which is something that they need, good money, so that's epic. Now we're going to move on to AlphaTauri, and there's 2 teams left, AlphaTauri and Red Bull. I saved them for last for audience retention, obviously. Thank you guys for watching, by the way, love y'all. But yeah, I'm going to go with Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson. Hear me out. Liam Lawson. Yuki Tsunoda, I don't think he's doing enough to justify a Red Bull seat, and honestly, I think the best bet for him would be to move to Aston Martin after Fernando Alonso retires to partner Lance Stroll when Honda moves over to Aston Martin. I think that's the best bet for Yuki. He's just got to bide his time in AlphaTauri if he can stay in that seat, if they don't kick him out by then. And yeah, I think AlphaTauri is the best thing for Yuki Tsunoda next year. And the other driver, Liam Lawson. He could win Super Formula this year, and if he wins Super Formula, he's got to get a seat, man. He's been so good everywhere, and he has for some reason, this like really good curse where he wins the first race of every single category where he comes into. So if AlphaTauri want him to win a race or want to win a race, they're going to put him in for Bahrain because he'll just win it. That's just how Liam Lawson does things. He always wins the first race of a new category that he's in. But on a serious note, he deserves a seat, and there's no other Red Bull driver, maybe besides Iwasa, that really else deserves a Red Bull seat as well. And I think Daniel Ricciardo is going to be going somewhere else, so you guys will see that a little bit later. But right now, I have Yuki Tsunoda and I have Liam Lawson driving for AlphaTauri in 2024. So that just leaves Red Bull, and I have Perez getting the boot. He's terrible this year. Like, bro has been out-qualified by Nico Hülkenberg more than he's even like made Q3. Like, what the hell, dude? That is terrible. And Red Bull would not be putting Daniel Ricciardo in an AlphaTauri if it didn't mean that they're lining a Red Bull seat up for him. So I got Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo driving for Red Bull in 2024. Yes, Max Verstappen is going to absolutely destroy him, but who cares? Daniel Ricciardo's back in Red Bull. I don't think anybody after 2019 would have thought he'd ever go back to Red Bull, but I have him back there. I mean, what else can I say? Daniel Ricciardo just fits so well with Red Bull. We can see that right now. He's just completely gelling, even with AlphaTauri. But when he was doing the reserve driver role for Red Bull in the first half of this season, he was gelling so well with Max. You see Perez on the sideline just sort of like laughing in the distance. He's like, oh, Daniel Ricciardo won't take my seat, right? Well, now he is. And I have Daniel Ricciardo partnering alongside Max Verstappen at Red Bull. So guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you guys did enjoy and you want to see more Formula 1 content like this from me, hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, join my Discord for the F1 Manager giveaway. Also, don't forget to check out Formula Neon for this, and where is it? There it is. That being said, see you guys next time. Goodbye.